Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so this video is by request. It is from Victoria. I hope this video brings you some peace. And last night or the night before, I did pray to God for direction on, like what direction to go in my YouTube channel, and I received it tonight. It's kind of funny because it's so obvious. Victoria literally sent me a message tonight and requested that I do a video about Jesus. Normally, I only do it when I'm really inspired, like something, I'll be watching a TV show or I'll be watching something on YouTube and something just really inspires me and I just jump right into it. Or sometimes, believe it or not, I wake up in the middle of the night and I get an idea or thought. It's more than that. It's an inspiration that will make me jump out of bed and I'll go make a video just off the top of my head. That's how I make most of my videos. Sometimes it's when I'm taking a shower, because the way the water hits you kind of stimulates your nervous system, and a lot of times, like, I will jump out immediately, dry off, and I'll throw some sweats on a t-shirt and I'll make a video. So you know how in the past I've always, not always, but a lot of times I brought up, like, I don't even know, I'll go back and re-listen to a video later that night or the next day when I upload it, and I'll be like, I did that? Like, that came from me? I realized a long time ago, this was very inspired by, call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it whatever you want to call it, but it was speaking through me. And I realized about 30 seconds into making this video, God wants me to speak from my heart. And it's everything that God has inspired and put into me over the last couple of years making these videos, especially the ones about Jesus. And so I quickly wrote a bunch of notes, and it's kind of a first for me to do it that way. So I'm going to read off the notes and we'll just go from there. Alright, so here we go. So I want to say thank you to Victoria for this video. I realized a while back what my calling is, and I think tonight it just confirmed it. It's to call people back to God. Now, I don't mean like, oh, I'm some kind of church leader or anything like that, but to call people back to the happiness and the joy that God has always wanted for mankind. I mean, from the very, very beginning, and man, were we led astray, steered off path. So the realization that I had, and I think a lot of you, and I think the world is having, is that we have been lied to about a lot of things. People are just, it's just blunt. We are seeing it. So I lowered the music a little bit. I'll lower it again in about 60 seconds. Alright, so let me just read off the notes and then I'll talk from the top of my head. So, number one, God has always wanted us to live with happiness and joy. It was the whole reason why even work. So one of the things I realized is, and it comes from the book of Genesis, and I put this in another video. I'm not going to go back and get that. It's in like this, I have this really big Bible that has all this extra writing underneath, but work was meant to be joyful. Work was meant to be meaningful, something that you looked forward to every day. And some people, like myself, have that. Okay, but it's because I fought tooth and nail for it. It's like, no, I'm not going to go do some job that's just going to kill my soul and my spirit. So one of the things we need to do is to stop living in fear and to start living in happiness and joy. And I'm going to go more into that a little bit later. And another thing is to just let go of perfection. Because we've been brainwashed into this either or, right or wrong. You got to be perfect or you're going to hell or you're in trouble. And that is not God at all. That's the furthest thing from God. God is compassionate. He's understanding. The goal is to learn to live in love and joy and happiness and compassion. Okay, and I don't mean like this is what you're supposed to do or you're going to get in trouble. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because a long time ago when I heard that whole thing, oh, be compassionate, be kind, what's the other one? Be understanding. It felt like rules, like do as you're told, be a nice person. It wasn't even from compassion. And so it wasn't until a few years ago, not just a few years ago, it's probably more than that. When you do energy healing, when you experience opening up, it's like you get washed in this energy of just absolute compassion for yourself, for the parts inside you, for others. And it is an amazing feeling. It's not like be compassionate or you're a bad person. No, that's the left brain thinking. Okay, that's left brain people thinking it's about rules. No, that's not what God meant. What God meant is because it feels good. So when I have these energy healing experiences after experience after experience, even meditation would douse me in this energy of absolute compassion. It just opens you up, man, and it just feels good. It is all of a sudden, it's like when you're in that space, it's just like, man, this is what life was all about. See, the funny thing is it's not even really about compassion for other people. It's compassion for the being inside you so you can feel good and then bring that compassion and that energy of love and compassion out into the world so other people can experience. Now, again, I didn't say you need to be compassionate towards other people. No, that's ego talk. It's not about you being better than someone. Oh, I'm a compassionate being. That's not where I'm coming from. That's not what I mean. It's literally like going out in the world and turning on a light. So wherever you go, other people can see. And it's not because I'm better than them. No, that's not it. It's bringing goodness into the world so there's more goodness. See, if you can't love yourself, it literally means you don't have the skill set or ability to love others. I mean, think about it. If you don't have $1 million, how can you give your friend $1 million for $1 million surgery that he needs? You can't. You have to be able to be loving to yourself and learn how to do that. And then you bring that in. If you're this angry, self-hate filled person, really you think you're going to love someone from that space? Get real. If you don't have the ability to love, you don't have the ability to love another. Compassion isn't something you do to someone. It's an emotional experience that you have. That's what it is. And when you open up to that level of compassion, it is, man. And when people get around you, they feel it. And the funny thing is you could be blindfolded in a room or in an area and not even know that people are around you. It's not about you like, I'm going to do this for other people. No, that's not what I'm saying, because that's literally the opposite of the way it works. It doesn't work that way. It has to go from inside and then expand out. Remember that famous person who said, look within? Oh, that's right, that was Jesus. Okay, so let's go back to the notes. Let me just get through this. So I'm going to start off here. I know I've said it before, but I'm trying to make a bigger picture here. So you've heard the phrase, fear the Lord your God. I mean, I remember in my 20s when some girl said this to me. I was at Berkeley, there was a coffee shop, and she just started talking to me, and she was one of those ego Christians, like, I'm better than you, and you're a sinner, you're going to hell, you're beneath me. And I remember she said, well, do you fear the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul? And I looked at her, and I've heard it before, but never really, it was the way she kind of said it directly to me and was angry, because I don't think anyone's ever said it to my face like that. And I looked at her, it was toxic. I was horrified. And I instantly looked, I said, no, I love God with all my heart and all my soul. You could see a shift in her entire energy field, her face, her eyes. She just stopped and looked at me, and it stunned her. And she was like, her mouth dropped, her jaw literally dropped, and she was like, huh. And she realized what she was saying to me. And I'm assuming what she has said to other people over the years for a long time. Now here's the purpose of sharing that. You've heard this before where Christians would approach you and say, do you fear the Lord your God, etc. Well, this is just another lie that we were told. Now here's the deal. The translation from the original language did not mean fear at all, not even close. It means to revere God, to admire God, to look up to God. It also means to seek shelter, protection underneath God. Now, what has shocked me over the decades is you'll get pastors or Christians, when you confront them, say that's not what those in the original text meant. And they'll say, well, yeah, I know it means to revere God, to admire, to, etc. And you're like, well, then why do you say that? Like, well, that's what's written in the King James Bible. Honestly, they know it. Here's the thing. A lot of Christians don't know the actual definition of the original language. But these people that do, you're like, well, then why would you do that? It's because an ego. Well, I'm better than them. They're beneath me, and I'm closer to God. Or it could be just like, well, I'm a recovering addict, and I'm trying to prove to people that I'm close to God by what? By telling people to fear God? Like, that is such a... Here's the thing. I'm actually pretty pissed off at pastors and ministers and priests, and I mean, for hundreds, maybe even 1,000 or thousands of years, this teaching, this complete mistranslation has been in the Bible for thousands of years. And people in the church that teach this, they know this is a mistranslation, yet they still teach it. Number one, why was it ever put in? It would be like saying hola means close the door. By the way, if you don't speak Spanish, hola means hello. It does not mean close the door. In fact, that's not even remotely close. We have been lied to. I could bring up a dozen things off the top of my head about, like, that's not true, what is spoken about the Bible. Like, that is a mistranslation, or that's not what it actually says. Some Christians will literally just leave off parts of sentences, like money's the root of all evil. That's not what it says. It says the love of money, and when it says the love of, it means as if to put above God, put above health, put above happiness, and it literally means to worship a deity called Magog or something like that. And I'm like, wait, I've never done that. And the thing about it is complete evil thing to do, to teach other Christians. I remember going to my pastor. I'm like, well, then why don't you tell the church? He goes, Michael, I just did last Sunday. He goes, I just went over this. And I was like, oh, that's right. And he said, Michael, I've done this 5 times already this year. Now, we were only like in April. And I was like, oh, that's right. You've gone over there. He goes, yeah. I'm like, well, then why don't they? He goes, Michael, they're going to hear what they want to hear. If I had a church, I would literally walk up to people and I would kick them out. Say, nope, that's not what it means. And I'm done with you spreading the evil word. There's a core teaching about the very purpose of Jesus that was completely twisted. I mean, literally the purpose, reason why he came, what his purpose was, the pinnacle, and it was completely twisted. All right, let me get back to the notes here. So here's the deal. The reason why the devil does all this stuff makes you feel guilt and shame, and feels like you're not worthy, you're not good enough, and he twists, teaching, like the definitions and meanings of words, and like I just explained, and the translations, is because he wants you to feel pain, not necessarily because he's trying to hurt you, but the devil's hurting God by hurting you. I mean, don't you see it at this point? It's like the devil is doing everything to turn you away from your Father, God. That's the whole book of Genesis, the fruit, the devil, the serpent, whatever you want to call it, tricked them, made them feel ashamed. And it said, and they hid. God walked in the garden, the cool of the day, the cool of the whatever. And it's called out, Adam, Eve, where art thou? And it says, and they hid, Adam and Eve, meaning they. And then God called out again, and Adam says, we're hiding. And God says, why are you hiding? And Adam says, because we're naked. And God says, who told you that you were naked? Because they always ran around naked in the garden. They didn't know they were naked. Just like a cat and a dog and animals, they run around all the time. They don't know they're naked. They've never even heard that word. They don't even know what it means. Well, what happened is the serpent came along. He literally made up a word and then gave a definition. Said, oh, that's naked. And what that means is blah, 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 blah. And you should be ashamed. That's how the devil gets you to turn away from and hide from God. Never, ever, ever in a million years did God ever want you to fear him or hide from him. So a while back, I prayed to receive certain types of clients because I had been really dealing with some rough clients. A lot of them were narcissists and they were just messing with me. And I just prayed, like, God, can I just have a client that I can work with that doesn't yell, that doesn't get mad, that doesn't, just someone that wants to work and wants to get it done. Somebody with a good heart. And I think it was 5 days later, maybe a week, something like that, I get a phone call from someone. And it was Victoria from Australia. Now, this was a while back, and she talked to me in depth. We had I think it was a good 30, 45-minute talk. And I said, oh, okay, and I didn't hear back from her for a long time. I mean, I think it was 6 months or more, maybe even 9 months. And when she called back or contacted me, I was like, oh, yes, I remember. So when she first called, I was like, okay, I think this is the prayer being answered. And because the energy was nice, it was just good, clean energy, and it was congruent. It was nice, and it was kind. And I thought, okay, well then I'm gonna work with one of her sons, etc., etc. And I never heard back from her. But then they came back, and it's one of those lessons where timing is everything. And I have got to tell you something. Okay, I'm going to read off the notes and then go natural from there. So, I had the greatest session with her son last night. Now, they're in Australia. I'm over here in California. And we did this really, really in-depth session. And something clicked. Not only for my client, the son, but for me. It was like I understood something that I hadn't truly understood the entire time. I had it. It was in me. But because... Part of what I've learned, especially in my work, is sometimes you have to go do it before, let me say it like this. Let me say it again. Sometimes you have to go do it live with an actual client and then understand it through doing it. And that's what happened. It was kind of a very fearful, kind of like, whoa, like, why isn't this working? What's going on? And I had faith and I just dove in and I did it. And man, did it shift. The one thing you have to understand about Ericksonian hypnosis and NLP and timeline therapy, etc., is it is an art. It is not, just do a series of techniques, step 1, step 2. It does not work that way. Even the originator, Dr. Bandler, said, NLP is not a trail of techniques, or that leaves behind is not a trail of techniques that leaves behind a trail of techniques. NLP is not a methodology that leaves behind a trail of techniques. It's an art. Because sometimes you're going to get to the second step and go, whoa, you got to shift all the way over here to a completely different technique. So people that are rigid and do it step by step, they won't get it. And so this pattern, this way of doing it, very much requires that. Like it's off the top of your head. It's very, very intuitive, and it's kind of like driving blind. There's a lot of faith in this. Alright, here's what I've said in some of my past videos. There's things that they taught us, especially with the hypnosis, that I just didn't believe. I thought, oh, that's bullshit. Like, and it would take me years to finally do it with someone or go to a therapist, an NLP trainer, and they would do it to me, and then I would get the result and was like, oh, okay. And that's an experience that I had last night with her son. It was like there was a series of things that happened, and it's like I saw it for the first time. I heard about it, I saw it at the seminars, I watched them do it to other people. In fact, we did our own groups, but I literally thought people were faking it. Okay, here's what it's called. One of the things is called finger signaling. It's literally when your unconscious mind communicates to you outside of that person's awareness. And when this started to happen, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This is actually happening. A lot of hypnotherapists are like, Michael, it's one of the first things you learn. I was like, yeah, but I didn't believe it. In fact, a lot of the techniques, they seem to be so damn easy. I thought, oh, that can't be real. It can't be that easy. And so I wouldn't use them for years. And I remember I had this was years ago, another client, where it was obvious this technique applies to exactly what their problem is. I thought, you know what the hell? I pulled out the manual, looked at the steps, and I'm like, oh, well, let's see what happens. And boom, it worked. And I literally thought this person was lying to me until their husband came to my door about 5 days later, shook my hands like, I don't know what you did, but you have no idea how much problems that issue has caused my family and blah, blah, blah. And it's gone and thank you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow. So one of the things is with me, with everything that I'm trained in, how long I've been doing it. I mean, I've healed people of things in whether it's energy healing or NLP or it's I'll tell you, yeah, it usually takes 3 to 5 sessions. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I've been in therapy for like 5 years for this. Like, what do you mean 3 to 5 sessions? All right, so I'm going to use the word point. Let me get to the point. Okay, so I literally prayed for this kind of client. I prayed for this experience. Okay. Because I was like, man, I'm not good at doing these series of techniques, and I'm not really sure, but I need. And when we were talking, like, oh, this is exactly what this is for. So I pulled out 3 different books that go over this, Dr. Bandler's book and Dr. Grinder, and I'm reading like a madman for the last 3 to 4 weeks or something like that, and I'm just like hitting the books. And I tell you what, when we had that breakthrough last night, it was like he was laughing, he was elated. We did a couple other things that shifted him, and man, did it revealed something to me that I can see crystal clear now that I had never ever seen before. There was a couple really powerful learnings. And I mean, for me, sure, he had his series of learnings, but man, did I learn a couple of things. Like, oh, it's like I saw something crystal clear that completely shifted everything for me. So basically what happened, he had this unconscious finger signaling thing happen, and I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, that's and it was really clear. Here's the thing, it was clear. And now that I see it, it's so simple now. It's So I'm elated, he's elated. And a few hours later, now I was elated all night long, I was just fired up, but a few hours later I kind of thought, how do I say this? It's the way the sequence of events unfolded. So I was like, wait a minute. And I'm actually going to ask him, I'm like, did you really get those finger signals or were you faking that? Because it seems to, what's the right word? Like divinely, like everything fell into place where I was like, oh, this is so simple to do now. It's like, do you guys remember that one time when I think it was Spock found that brain thing and he put it on his head and all of a sudden brain surgery was like super, or no, it was the doctor and he had to do brain surgery on Spock. And he's like, oh, it's like child's play. That's what I'm talking about. This complex thing that I didn't think I could do. I was like, wow, this is like child's play now. And I just kind of like cleared my head and I started thinking like, Michael, you prayed for this client, you prayed for this exact situation. And I literally was looking into possibly going to more NLP trainings to focus just on this series of techniques. And as I'm reading the books, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And because I've been trained in it, I've been certified in these techniques, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do it with him. And it's just like everything fell into place. I thought, maybe like this was kind of a setup, but in a very positive way. I'm like, yeah, but they're across the world. I don't know these people. And not only that, but I've never even told anyone that this is like something that I wanted to do. So unless somebody somehow is reading my mind, other than that, there's no way they could possibly have known. So I want to say something. I want to say thank you, Victoria. You are a godsend. Now, I don't mean that lightly or as in that's a nice thing to say. I mean literally, God sent you. Here's the funny thing that I realized. It's like, you think that I'm helping you and your family, but you guys are all helping me. It's almost like this, and I've heard it this way, but I'm going to try to... It's almost like this cosmic thing. Like God is putting his finger in this saying, yep, we're going to actually teach Mike how to do this. And that's when I'm like, man, I don't know how to explain. I almost looked at the mother and like the 2 sons, like, oh, they're in on this. Like they're in on this teaching here. And and it wouldn't surprise me if they said, well, actually, yeah, here's the deal. We're actually angels sent from God, and you definitely needed to get over this bump here in the road. So I wouldn't, and you know what, it may be possible that they don't even know it. That's just, I don't know what the word is, like a spiritual connection. Like God has put this recipe together. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. But I'm telling you something, God has a hand in everything. So the message I'm going to point out in this video is, it's really about the happy message that God has always had for you. And it wasn't even a message in the beginning. We were all doing it. We were living in the Garden of Eden. We were having fun. We have been lied so much, like, oh, well, God pushed us out because we're not good enough. No, the devil tricked you to hide from God. You stepped out of the Garden of Eden. It wasn't the other way around. When people say, oh, God, where are you? God, where are... God's right here. He's right here, right now. You have to learn how to open up to the right brain. You have to learn how to open up. Open up to the spirit world. And that's what my internal awareness techniques are all about. It's teaching you how to connect within, because that's how you connect to the spirit world. That's how you connect through the right brain. Again, the right brain is the emotional, creative, spiritual brain. The right brain is the open brain. Open to what? Open to energy, open to spirit. The left brain is the closed brain. It's closed off from. And as I've already explained in many videos, the trick that Narcissist do to you, and the serpent, which is a narcissist, by the way, and the seed of Cain, that's all narcissism, is they shame you. They put you in a state of fear, shame, guilt, so you close off from the right brain. So they get you, by fear, to close that door. And so my job is to show you how to open back up to reconnect with God. So lies, obvious lies, gaslighting, all the stuff that narcissists do, it is designed to close that door, okay? Okay, so I think one of the things is, we all know by now, is that we've been lied to quite a lot when it comes to the Bible, to God, to Jesus, and life in general. And we're finally waking up to this. Now, there is truth in the Bible, for sure. It's been twisted, it's been hidden, it's been changed, but it's there. You can still find it. You have to learn to see it with an open eye, or with an open heart. Now, this is what this video is really about, okay? We're leading up to this. So Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice, like literally, like he was, and here's the way it went. Is first, I think the very first thing they killed was a bull to sacrifice for all the sins of the tribe. And then after a couple weeks, they felt guilty and shameful again, and then they killed another bull. And then they killed one bull every month for all the sins of all the people in the tribe. And then it kind of got to where they killed 2 bulls, then it was 2 bulls, 2 turtle doves, and then it was a pigeon. Then it was it was a blood sacrifice. It was it was just constant. And the thing about it is, man really believed, like, well, if we kill something and sacrifice it to God, then God's going to be happy in that, man. One of the last things I said as an associate pastor was, do you really think that by killing an animal, one of God's pets, somehow that's going to make him forgive you? The problem is, God never judged you. Satan is the one who judged you. It was a trick. Going back to the Garden of Eden, it was Adam and Eve, in other words, mankind, that hid from the right brain, that hid from God because of shame, because of fear, because they're told, oh, God's going to get mad at you for being... God was never mad at you for being naked. That was the biggest freaking lie. Now you think, oh, it's just about being naked? No, it's about everything. See, the goal was never to be perfect. If you think God's like, oh, you got to be perfect and sinless, and rah. No, the goal is to learn, to grow, and develop. To explore. You know what the ultimate goal is? It's to create. Whether it's artwork, whether it's spaceships, whether it's engineering a better bridge, a bigger bridge. It's just creating artwork, creating music, creating books, poetry. Everything was always about creation. And we closed off from that. When we were in the garden with God, we were just... It was like art class. It was like, okay, you got BB guns shooting over here. You got people shooting bows and arrows over here. You got kids painting here. And the teacher goes, oh, if you want to make the more contrast, here's how you do it. And they just teach you and show you. And then you begin to develop your own thing. And God's just going, wow, that's incredible. You made this floating ball that can spin real fast and go really high. And it changes colors. It's not like there were... See, somehow we were tricked into thinking, good or bad, right or wrong. It's getting stuck in the left brain. That's what God meant. Like, don't eat of the fruit of knowledge. I mean, the tree of knowledge, because that's your left brain. It doesn't mean you can't be logical. It means you don't get stuck there. But when you're in a state of fear, that open doorway, that open connection to the right brain is gone. So it's literally like closing a door. So God's sitting here going, okay, so how am I going to, get Adam and Eve to stop hiding from me? How am I going to get people to stop hiding, mankind? I'm not mad at you. The devil lied. It's a lie. God is not ashamed of you. God's proud of you. God loves you. And you know what happened? There was sacrifice after sacrifice. I forget what books, the book of Numbers, the books of whatever. And they built all these altars and all these priests. They were sacrificing animals. If I remember right, it literally was 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months out of the year, 365 round the year. And I remember there was where the gutter or like the like the gutter or whatever it was where the blood flowed down the hill. It was like, I think the term was, it was like you turned a spigot or opened a spigot wide open, it just poured down 24/7. That's how much we were sacrificing animals. And yet, we still didn't open back up to God. Maybe momentarily. It's kind of like going to church on Sunday and you just feel cleansed and you feel like, oh God, I feel so, and you do, you feel open for about a day or two, 3 days. Usually by the time Wednesday comes, you're already feeling guilty, you're feeling ashamed, you're closed off from God. And God's going, what is it going to take for you guys to understand you that I'm not judging you? I love you. And mankind said the ultimate sacrifice, because they had these perfect purebred bulls and the perfect fruit and the perfect this and they were sacrificing and killing it, and it was never enough. And so God said, fine, I will literally give you my only begotten son as a sacrifice. So here's the message. The price has already been paid for all eternity for anyone and everyone. It's already paid. Your job is to go and live your life and be happy and to explore and to have fun and to create things and to bring this happiness and joy and to literally feel this compassion for yourself and bring that out into the world so other people can see it and hear it and feel it. Okay, I'm going to read this off verbatim. I'm almost done, so I'm just going to read this. So Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. The price has been fully paid for all eternity for everyone. Your job was to go and live your life and be happy and to live in joy and bliss. This was the whole purpose, to live in bliss and compassion and kindness, because it feels good. It's why we are here, to feel this amazing feeling of compassion and joy and happiness that only comes from being compassionate and kind to yourself and then to others. You are literally a light of love, a light of happiness and joy and compassion. And you were supposed to shine that light of happiness and joy and go live. The greatest heartache any parent will ever face is seeing their children suffer in fear and shame and guilt, to be unhappy and sad and worse. This is what the devil has done through you to God. See, the reason why the devil's attacking you is the devil doesn't care about you, but the devil knows if he can hurt God's child, that makes God suffer. Here's what you got to understand. God is just like a parent. Imagine a mother or father watching their son getting hurt really bad. That's going to be tremendously painful for them. You want to make God happy? Go be happy. That will make God happy. Go learn how to feel that emotion of compassion. I am telling you, that is, see, a lot of you, it's about rules. I got to be compassionate towards other people. No. You have to feel that energy inside you. It is the most amazing. Man, I don't know how to explain. It's beyond peaceful. It's not just peaceful. It just feels good. Mike, how do I do that? Well, take my course, learn my internal awareness. We can do this on the phone. Also doing energy healing. When I send energy into you, you will feel it. You will be like, wow, it is powerful. It's fun. I don't know if fun's the right word. It makes life fun. I'll tell you that. It's just wonderful. I tell you one thing that you get rid of. It's like, not that you get rid of, it's just gone. Perfection. Like, it's not about perfection. When you make a mistake, okay, well, it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, how can I do better? Or what can I do to make this better for me or for others? It's not like you're getting punished. It's, I'm trying to explain something that you can't experience until you're there. I tell you one thing, Victoria's son felt this last night, probably for hours and hours, and probably woke up the next morning in that same state. Okay, let me get back to reading the rest of this off. Almost done. So, God wants nothing more than to see His children happy, to be joyful, to live their lives to the fullest, no matter what that means to you. See, here's the thing. It's not a matter of like, what's the right way to live, Mike? I'm in my logical brain. See, that's what's going on with people. Like, well, how come you're not married with 3 children like me and my husband? You're not like us. We're not supposed to be the same. Some people are meant to have children, and some people are meant to save the world. Some people are meant to have children and a family, and some people are meant to find the cure to cancer. Some people are meant to build bridges. Some people are meant to build houses. Some people are meant to teach art. Some people are meant to be artists. Some people are meant to be musicians, to help people to relax, to be happy, to find joy, to find inspiration. There's a ton of different jobs. And your job is to go find something, to go do something that fills you with happiness and joy. We can't all be farmers. We can't all be oil well riggers, or whatever they're called. We can't all be surgeons. I mean, we can't all do the same exact job. We can't all be the same color. I mean, we're different for a reason. We need to stop telling other people that they need to be like us. Because people need to go down their own path to learn what they're supposed to learn. Let's say someone's in 7th grade, but they never learned 1st grade math, basic math. They're going to struggle in math their whole life. So if you came along and said, hey, I'm in 5th grade multiplication and division math, what are you doing in 1st grade math? Well, because that's where they're at. They're supposed to experience things the way they're supposed to experience them, in the way they're supposed to experience them, in order to learn what they're supposed to learn. You are probably at a different place, or you came here for a different purpose, and you're learning something in a completely different way about something completely different, because you're not supposed to be learning what they're learning, because you're here for a different mission, a different purpose, a different experience. We have got to stop telling other adults how to live their lives. We've got to stop saying, well, you're supposed to be on the left. You're supposed to be on the right. You're supposed to be like me. And if you're not, I'm going to judge you. I don't even think it's that. It's more like you're just supposed to go live your life. So let me read the last paragraph. So God is curious which direction you are going to take with your lives and what you will do with it. He doesn't care what you do with it. He wants to see you grow and learn and explore and experience the excitement and the love and whatever it is that you want to experience in the world, in life and yourself, to discover who you are and who you can become. He just wants to watch and enjoy. And yeah, of course he wants to see you overcome challenges and to be proud of yourself and to live a meaningful life. So go have fun, enjoy your lives as best you can. Go be a billionaire. See how far you can go. That's what I'm saying. There are no limits. That was the illusion. Now you know. Here's the deal. God will help you at any step of the way for any endeavor, anything that you want to do. Just pray and ask. And then pay attention. Now, one of the things that I learned when it comes to God, for sure, here's what someone told me. You know what you should do, Mike? Every time you pray, or if you have things that you want, write them down in a journal, a hardbound journal. Pray for it and then write down what it was you prayed for. If you pray for something else, write that down. Well, I did this for, I don't remember, maybe 2 or 3 months, and I kind of got burned down, like, whatever, and I forgot about it. Well, about another 6 months went by, so this was probably 9 months, maybe 12 months went by, okay, total. And that same person said, well, so how many prayers have been answered? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, weren't you writing them down? I'm like, yeah, I did that for like 3 months, but I kind of got burned out, and it just didn't seem real. But go get your journal, open it up right now. I'm like, why? They're like, do it. And I opened it up, and I was like, oh my God, I got that. This happened. I learned this. I went to that seminar. I got this. And I started just checking all these things. I was like, holy shit. And then I remembered when they happened. I thought, nah, that wasn't God. Because it seems too good to be true. You're like, nah, that's probably just a coincidence. I really needed that car, really needed that money, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And, come on, that's my friend, or that's someone I used to know in high school, and I just bumped into him. They gave me the money, or they said, hey, I've got a car that I could give you. Oh, by the way, this literally just happened to my friend 7 days ago. Like, literally. It's one of those hybrid cars. It only has 60,000 miles on it. I'm like, are you kidding? He's like, no. He goes, we put brand new tires on it too. He drove that car all the way from Los Angeles and back. And I go, well, how's it? He goes, everything works on it. It runs perfect. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up with this. Number one, you were never, ever meant to feel guilty or shameful or fearful at all, ever. That was never part of God's design, ever. That was when all the stuff started going haywire in the book of Genesis. See, when people talk about eating of the fruit, the forbidden fruit, they blame Eve. This is not a blaming on Eve. This is a left or right brain thing for each individual person. This has nothing to do with one person. That is a load of crock of shit. It's about you inside your own brain. Secondly, Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. So why didn't you come out of hiding after that? Because you were lied to, you were gaslit, you were confused, you were scared by the narcissist, by demonic narcissists, serpents. They're the same creatures, by the way. This isn't like different. They just see. Narcissists have gotten smart, and it's like the seed of Cain. There's a mark, and everyone's like, oh, those children are the seed of Cain, so don't talk to them. So they changed the name to something else, and then 100 years later, or 500 years, 1,000 years later, they changed it again. Now we call them narcissists. They're the same beings, and they will shame you, they will manipulate you, they will hurt you. You've got to learn to see the signs, and you've got to learn how to open back up. That's what it's all about. And the way you open back up, number one, is start loving yourself. You cannot open up to God. You cannot become a non-toxic person if you're constantly closed. You have to open up, feel love, feel compassion for yourself, and then the energy shifts, and all of a sudden, other people around you will experience that, and on an unconscious level, they will begin to become conscious because of it. They will shift as well. And for that moment, they will be conscious. The more moments they have these, they become conscious of those moments and like, wait a minute. And then they start to strive and go after that. That's the same thing when people work with me or talk to me. If you sit down at a coffee shop with me and we talk for an hour or so, you're going to be open. I promise you that. I guarantee it. It's not even a question. You will open. We don't have to do a single damn technique. It's just my energy. And then you close back up maybe 2 hours later or a day later. Then we meet again. Then you open back up. It's a conditioning factor. The energy healing that I do does the same thing. It really opens you up. And man, do you feel this energy come into you and shift you. It is it's like ice melting. It's like warmth. It's like, where like you're cold, but then also the blood flows into your hands, but it does it to your whole body. I want to say it's a warm, comforting feeling, which it is, but it's way more than that. And I'm not even sure if I could find the words to describe it. It's like warm, soft, smooth. It's sensual, but in a very loving kind of way. It's bliss. There's no worries at all. Just feel good. Alright guys, I think that's enough for this video. I hope you guys learned God loves you. God does not mad at you. God does not want to see you suffer. God just wants you to be happy, to do what you want to do, go after your dreams, or whatever it is. God's there to support you, whatever it is that you want. God wants you to be happy. Alright, God bless you guys. If you like this video, if you've enjoyed this style of video, please click subscribe, click the bell, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and if you want, you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box beneath the video. Alright, God bless you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.